Welcome to Travel Stories with your hosts, Tom Kim and Trevor Mountcastle. This episode, we recount one of our, my Memorial Day week trips. In this case, to France.
Bonjour, Trevor.
Bonjour. Or it's a little late, so bonsoir.
So.
Bonsoir.
Okay, bonsoir. Okay.
So Tom, we made it an intentional thing, as we tend to do on the show, to actually not talk about our trip too much, and our trips now before the recording, so we have a little bit of the surprise and I think a little bit more fun on the show. So, how much of this trip did you actually know I had planned? I'm just curious.
Well, some of it, despite the fact that we don't talk about usually our travels until we get a chance to do this, I feel like you have actually talked about your travel planning woes for a number of weeks and months beforehand. Just I think it unlike some people, I think you did a lot of last minute booking to make this one exactly the way you wanted it, which is always a little nerve-wracking. I was doing my travel planning as well for Memorial Day weekend, but you definitely win the award for most last-minute plans.
And the crazy part of this is that like I booked our first ticket December 16th.
Mm-hmm.
Our first ticket I booked December 16th. I was intentional not to be last minute on this one. But you know what they say, the leopard can't change his spots.
No.
And so long as last minute flight availability happens, I am probably going to be changing flights right up to the last minute. And in this case, as we'll get to soon, it became a recurring theme for us.
I think that might be a recurring theme outside of even just this episode.
Yes.
I think I think that pattern of spots on that leopard is pretty well defined.
Yes. Although I will say this time, I think this might have been the closest to actual flight that I've started rebooking things.
Oh.
On one of our things, but we'll get there in a moment, I think. So sort of burying the lead, so to speak. Vive la France!
Yes.
I don't know why, but like we just felt like we wanted to go to France. Really, what it came down to was when we were at Zorkfest. Friend of the show, Dia Adams, says to me, "Your daughter's 4, right?" And of course, she is. So I said yes. She says, "This is the perfect year for Disney." And
she's probably not wrong.
Oh! I'm here to tell you, she's completely right. She was completely right. And she shared with me a couple of things. That her son, at age 4, went to Disney and remembered getting kissed by a princess. And her daughter remembered having a lightsaber fight with Darth Vader. Not an actor that was Darth Vader.
Uh-huh.
Not an actress that was a princess. But a princess and Darth Vader. It feels real at this age. And as we'll talk about in a little bit, it really is. And I was skeptical, but I consider Dia a close friend, and I trust her, and so I went on faith, and so we stretched ourselves a little bit to make Disneyland Paris happen. They have a new park that has World of Frozen in it that they just opened at the end of March, and it just seemed like the right time. And the irony is that was probably the last lodging that we actually booked. and I know I'm jumping around a little bit here, but if there is one thing from this trip that I learned, it is, my gosh, you almost need a spreadsheet to keep track of when are the cancellation policies for this hotel, when are the cancellation policies for this other hotel, when when does this airline release space, when does this airline release space, because in some cases we're in a world now where I think people are booking more and more speculatively, and as they get closer in, they're they either decide they're going to use it or they're not, and I think I had to do the same. So I'm probably the pot calling the kettle black, although I'm not calling the kettle black or the pot or anything. I'm just saying this is an observation of what the environment seems to be. There's a lot of miles out there, and in my case, I had 528,000 United Airline mileage plus miles deployed. I had 390,000 Aeroplan deployed. I ultimately spent 0 United miles and 600,000 Aeroplan miles, and then I had another 160,000 Hyatt points deployed. And I think I only used either 24,000 or 48, depending upon whether or not the Hyatt Centric gives us miles back. But that gives you a little bit of an idea of just how many backup plans you need to be having nowadays.
So what was kind of your impetus for kind of some of the changes? I know, some of it sounded like, and again, maybe burying the lead because we'll come to it. I know you had some changes in plans, but just leading up to it, I think you were constantly looking at space because I think you were just unhappy with maybe what you had flight-wise. Was that a fair statement?
Oh, it's a total fair statement. I think we were really spoiled in the last good number of years where we could travel on a Thursday or a Friday before a holiday weekend, and we could fly home on a Sunday, and the flights either were there or they became available last minute. And I wanted that kind of a thing. I said to myself, we're going to travel, we're going to burn, I mean, I think we already established we burnt, 600,000 plus miles on this. This is a little bit special, and I'll get to why in a moment. But we're going to burn, business class transatlantic miles. And I wanted to get the most time possible. Paris is just an electric city for me. And I wanted to be able to spend a little bit of time exploring some of the new, some areas newer to us. Like we've never been to Montmartre. Okay. There's a couple of parks that a couple of our Mile and Point friends have said, you really got to check out, and that we haven't really done. We've barely spent any time on Rive Gauche, other than over by the Rive Gauche being the right bank, left bank, south
I feel
bank,
like left bank maybe. I don't know.
Maybe it's left bank. Yeah. Warning. My French is not very good. But so we wanted to be able to spend more time. I wanted to be able to see, and we wanted to try to go not just to Reims, but we wanted to go to Epernay. And so I needed those extra 2 days, and I kept just searching. I was not committed to the itinerary that we had until about 30 hours before we took off. Because I wanted to get that Friday departure, and I wanted to get that Monday or Sunday return. I had a flight on Sunday home, but it was out of Brussels, and I didn't have any connection from Paris, so that meant more friction.
Right.
But the best I had on the way out was a Saturday night flight that got us in at like 2 or 3 o'clock into Paris on a Sunday. Unsat, I said. And so Friday morning, I just happened to check Aeroplan, and Lufthansa first class became available. I'd been tracking the space with Expert Flyer, which was good, right? Like, so I knew what routes to look at. but it really was a question of when. And so 30 hours out, the way from the eastbound worked. I figured that it would have been the same on the way back. I'm here to tell you it was anything but. It was anything but, my friend.
Yeah, it just seems like schedules, right? It's just like it sounds like you were just trying to tweak things to obviously maximize your time, and and it sounds like you were constantly making adjustments. But what carrier did you actually end up flying over the Atlantic on the way out?
Well, our listeners hopefully have prepared for this episode because because there is our catchphrase. So we ended up flying Lufthansa first, and if I sound a little solemn right now, it's not just because I'm a little bit tired. We're recording this on 5 June, and there are reports that as of the beginning of June, Lufthansa is not releasing Lufthansa first class space to partners. Now, hopefully this is just a blip, a glitch in the matrix, and it'll be released in the future. But it's a little bittersweet talking about this trip now, when our listeners might not get the chance to fly it themselves.
Yeah, I mean that's a real shame, because I mean it felt like Lufthansa was one of the more accessible, at least if you're willing to go to the last minute. I know we've done our fair share of booking that at right at the last 11th hour as well. So this is not a new process for you. I mean, but I guess the one silver lining for you is you at least got a chance to enjoy this, if indeed there's some type of a bit of an embargo or something, or a bit of a hiatus from being able to access that award space via some of the other Star Alliance programs, which really has been the main way that you've been able to redeem for Lufthansa First Class. Yeah,
and you know what? We treated it like it was going to be our last. Actually, the way out, I said to my family, I said, "Look, I don't know when we're going to be able to do this again. So let's really enjoy it. Let's do the things." In fact, we didn't have the longest layover, but we walked over to the first class terminal. My daughter had her bubble bath in the first class terminal.
That sounds special.
Bathtub, which is a special moment for us.
Of
right?
course.
She can say that she had a bubble bath in a lounge, or in the Lufthansa first class terminal. So that's a really cool thing, right? We didn't get the schnitzel on the way out because our flight to Paris was too early. But the reality of the matter was we wanted to be in Paris, right? We didn't go to do a long layover in the lounge. We just wanted to be in Paris. So yeah, the way out was that. I remember. So for our listeners, I went a little over 120 days, a little over 4 months, without getting on a plane going overseas, which for me is a long time. And so, like, before
that does seem like a long time.
This was the longest period since the pandemic, actually. The pandemic was like 370 something days, and this was the longest period since then, since 2021, which is crazy to say. And so, like, we got to the lounge. We went to the Etihad lounge. We weren't sure whether we wanted to make the long walk over to the Polaris lounge, and we were happy with the Etihad lounge.
And that's actually the Chase Sapphire offering at Dulles, right? The Etihad lounge.
Exactly.
Which is kind of funny, because you rarely even see it being used, I guess, as the Etihad lounge, but for the once daily flight to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, and the funny part is I remember flying Etihad the last time I flew, and they put us in the Air France lounge. I remember sitting in the basement of the Air France lounge. I don't even think they had Tattinger. It was the craziest
That's
thing.
Interesting. So Etihad doesn't even use their own lounge sometimes?
It was 2.5 years ago. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember if the
maybe it was
Chase
being
lounge
remodeled or something.
Had been finished. Yeah, but like I remember sitting in the Chase lounge and having a glass of rosé and just thinking to myself, wow, suddenly I've just got this weight off my shoulders. And we wandered down to the Lufthansa lounge, which was closed by the way. That's closed for an entire year.
Oh.
And they say that you can use the British Airways lounge. However, the British Airways lounge doesn't open until 2:30. And this is a 3:30 or 3:50 p.m. flight out. So there's really not a lot of time to enjoy lounge. We tried to go into the Virgin Atlantic lounge, and they treat priority pass holders like third-class citizens. Like they have a bunch of nice-looking wines, but like you know they have $2 chuck for the priority passers.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's probably an upgrade. So
that seems to be the new trend. Priority pass is the least exclusive, it's basically like almost like having a driver's license. I think if you
probably not that far off.
Yeah, it seems to be like everybody has one and everybody wants to use it, and the lounges are kind of adapting to that reality. It seems, because there's definitely a theme about priority pass and its kind of fall from grace of being something you actually want to pursue or use, because the utility of it continues to degrade.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, but that's kind of the fact.
Yeah.
So needless to say, we get on the Lufthansa flight. They had Veuve Clicquot Les Grandes Dames, a wonderful bottle. I think they served my daughter apple juice out of and I think I've got a photo that we can include. It was literally served out of a wine bottle. I felt like it was. I felt like it was the blue. What's the tea on Jowl?
The Queen of Blue.
The Queen of Blue, but for apple juice. And they poured me a glass, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, I probably need to find out where to get that, but I don't know that I want to find the price. but yeah, we really enjoyed it. They gave my daughter this really cool, you know how like dry bags are like all the rage now, like those kind of waterproof bags that kind of fold over.
Right.
So like she's got like a big old Lufthansa bag, that dry bag. Who knows how she's going to use it? I don't know. We'll take it to the.
Is it actually waterproof?
I haven't submerged it yet,
but it's in that style.
It is the style, yeah, and it feels like it's got the rubbery outside. So I suspect it is. But they took such good care of her. It was just a joy. What
was the equipment on the way out? What metal did you have?
Yeah, it was an A340-600, and there was only one other passenger, and that was a really good thing because both my daughter and my wife's seats did not fully function, and so like they moved around, like whether they were in bed or seat, they went to different seats. So it was actually, it's an old aircraft.
Yes,
they've been keeping that on life support for I don't know how long, right? They pulled them out of retirement for.
I feel like you have this summer, and that's about it. I think this fall. I think a lot of them they're planned to be axed, right? Later this year.
Yeah. That's assuming that 787s don't have to take naps at the gate anymore. and for our listeners, I think over the earlier this week. A Lufthansa 787 that was only 4 months old. Don't get me wrong. If you're 4 months old, you do need a midday nap. But the landing gear collapsed, putting the nose right down.
I hope that's not another Boeing, misstep. They've had enough of those, and it sounded like they were turning a corner. But that makes me hope that that's not a manufacturing defect.
Same. Yeah. So. If we didn't have enough tangents,
yes,
the flight was uneventful. The flight was wonderful. The meals, I think we've talked ad nauseum on Lufthansa. The food's not always amazing. They did do this, I guess, 100-year celebration, a little bit of a refresh. So they give you like a 3-piece amuse bouche that. For me, really didn't do anything because, like, part of it had fish, and I just, like, it doesn't do anything for me when it's fish because I don't eat it. But it's a nice presentation. I think the real improvement is on the wine. That was quite good. And then the caviar service. Now they have the Bellinis, and they have the mother of pearl spoon. It's the small things. And
it's so funny that, in all the years, right? How long have you been flying them? This is the first time I think I'm hearing about them actually using a mother of pearl spoon. They used to always have just the little, silverware stuff. And I mean, that's probably, is that a first for you in Lufthansa first class?
Yeah. Oh, they made a big deal about adding it
Oh,
recently.
okay.
I think Lucky had a big post about it, and he flew it, and I think he was just as underwhelmed as I was with the changes. I mean, I will still say they have the best bedding in the sky. I mean, it might be an old seat, but my gosh, if I could sleep on that bed every night, and I would just be so happy. And
They
I'd
do have
probably
very
get such
nice
a great
crisp
sleep.
sheets.
Yeah, and the nice the best weight, the right weight for like a nice duvet. I mean, they know how to do that right. So slept well, landed at 5:30 in the morning. I don't know that we've covered this ESS, and I can't remember what the ESS is, but it's like the European Union's Schengen entry, and essentially they implemented it like a month or two ago, and you've got to get biometrics on at least one hand. Getting it
It's supposed to
5:30
replace the passport stamps, I think, is the idea. Is that you get the biometric read instead of the physical stamp in your passport.
Yeah, but they have to have the biometric read every time. I'll get to that in a second. But 5:30 in the morning, first class, first one off, no problem. We were on our way to the first class terminal in probably 2.5 minutes. Maybe a little longer because you come into those Z gates and it's a haul, right? Coming off a wide body like that. The way out, we flew in from Paris, and the driver drops us off at the B gates and says, "Oh yeah, just a minute down, and the lounge is on the other side." And we go up the escalator, and I realize I'm probably putting a little bit too much detail for somebody that for folks that haven't flown through Frankfurt recently or haven't committed time like I have.
For those traveling this summer, this particular data point might be of some interest.
Yeah. So anyway, they drop us off because again, first class, they pick you up in your own private car. They drop you off same place the bus drops you off. You go up this escalator, and there's a line in front of us, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, maybe there's a flight boarding, and they're waiting in line. No, this line goes far to the left, and it's still like 50 to 100 meters to get to the actual Schengen, the leaving Schengen gates. And I'm looking around and I'm like, okay, this isn't going to work. So I'm flailing, and I hate to admit this, but I was flailing because we have an hour and 25 minutes to connect.
Right.
I'm thinking to myself, okay, we're near the B gates. We see signs for the Z gates. Let's go to the elevator that says Z gates. Elevator doesn't come in a good 2.5 minutes. We're running out of time. I grab the bags, ask my wife to carry my daughter, and we go down 4 flights of stairs down to the tunnel. And I hate that dang tunnel. I mean, that tunnel is not my favorite. And we take the tunnel to where the Z gates are. I guess that's where the A gates are as well. And we come up in that kind of familiar place that you normally land if you're going with that transition from international Z gates to Schengen. And we go to the first class lounge, and I said, "Do you guys have a trick? Like, how are we getting through this? Because the lines are horrible." And the agent at the check-in is like, "You know what? Your best answer is to just go landside and go to the FCT. I'll call ahead. We'll try to we'll try to hold the plane for you, but good luck."
Wow.
I'm like, wow, this is what Lufthansa first class has dropped to.
That is interesting.
Yeah, and I realize I'm kind of skipping. The way we'll cover the trip is we'll talk the flights in the beginning, and then we'll talk the destination. But we ended up making it through to the first class terminal, hustling. I mean, we were sweaty at this point, unfortunately, and as we're getting in there, the folks meet us, know that we're on the Washington flight, very kind, very nice, and they're like, "So your flight is a little bit delayed." To which I'm like, "Okay," and I just
never been so
ran
excited
all
for a
this.
delayed flight, huh?
Right? Yeah, exactly. And it
They're
turns
probably
out
like,
that
is there ever a situation where a delayed flight would be as beneficial as in this exact case?
very much true. In fact, it was delayed so much that we had enough time to sit and have a proper Wiener Schnitzel lunch.
Yay, serendipity.
It was. It really was. And it unfortunately, the flight continued to get delayed. We got on board, and I mean, we must have gone through a bottle of La Grande Dame. At this point, every seat except for one was filled in the first class cabin. So we're 7 of 8. And we went through a bottle of La Grande Dame. We might have gone through a bottle of Pomme Louise, because they had 2 premiums. And even after we pulled the gate, or pulled the jet bridge, we were still waiting. So I think that there was some issue with luggage as well as people getting through this ESS. But I'm here to tell you that if you're connecting in Europe, number one, Frankfurt's probably not where you want to connect because their lines were pretty bad. But I mean, I've heard badness on other points. I think everybody just hates Frankfurt the way that some hate London. It just truth in lending, right?
I think I think this is a good point, because I think if you've got some of these shorter connections, like 1 hour connections in some of these European gateways, and you're transiting between Schengen and non-Schengen,
You're not making it.
Yeah, you have significant risk. So just bear that in mind. This is not a this is an actual consequential change that has been made to the immigration process in Europe. And it makes me wonder, are they going to do any kind of backtracking or something before the peak of summer travel? Because this is not even the peak of summer travel yet, right?
No, this was like week 1. Like, really. I mean, this is Memorial Day. Not school's not even out yet.
Yep.
For most. And I have to tell you, after our attempt to leave the Schengen, I am dreading. I'm heading back there in July, and I don't know that I want to plan another trip to Europe, anytime soon, because that was not a fun experience. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they're saying, minimum connect time might be 40 minutes or 50 minutes in Zurich, for example. Yeah, now they're saying 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah,
you might be able to get a short connection, but you're probably not going to make that short connection.
Yep. They'll book it for you.
Yeah, exactly. They'll book it for you, but good luck.
Yeah.
So I think bottom line on the flights, and that Lufthansa flight home, I booked that 2 hours before our flight that we originally had booked was to depart. I literally had to call Brussels Air to have them uncheck us in so that I could cancel the flight. It was, yeah. So, I mean, there's Lufthansa, I think leaving Europe is a lot harder to get than going to Europe. And it could also be the day, because like we saw, like on Wednesday and Thursday, they'll open up like 36 hours out, and you could get those seats. Friday was hard, and Saturday, like I said, it was that morning that we finally saw space. And they were F5, like all the way until Saturday morning. And they released 4 out of the 5 seats.
Well, it makes you wonder, like, are they doing that because they're seeing some last minute demand from some travelers, because they're being forced to do some of these crazy things. I mean, even people who are paying these highly inflated premium fares, they're subject to a lot of these things as well, right? So something tells me, some of the people who are like, oh wait, maybe I do want to pay a little premium to be able to do something like FCT, to avoid some of what's going on right now. And it's actually kind of interesting that as a first class passenger, they didn't, kind of do something a little different. I guess it was a little bit of malpractice by the driver to not realize that this was going on or giving you a heads up.
Yeah, in a perfect world, they should have figured out some alternative where they could like drive. Give us a reprieve. Us first class passengers, a reprieve temporarily, and just drive us right to the first class terminal. Let us do put another immigration agent right there, and then just let us go there.
It does sound a little elitist, but to be fair, that's what you're paying. But that's what you're paying for, when you fly in that premium class of services. The whole idea is that you're going to have, hopefully, and in the past, Lufthansa has tried to make the landside experience a little bit more smooth for its passengers.
Almost better than the air side.
Yeah.
Than the air, in the air.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's sort of the situation that we kind of ran into.
But hey, you got your schnitzel. You got your unexpected time in the lounge, which you were not counting on. So it's a little silver lining there. But enough about the flights. I think it's time to get into the meat of the episode. Talk a little bit about your time in the actual country, right?
Yeah. So France in 3 chapters, because we really went to 3 different main regions. Mm-hmm. We went to Paris, Disneyland Paris, and Reims. We did not do any mass transit experiences. We didn't try the train. Did some splurging there, but it wasn't that appreciable of a difference when you considered the friction that dragging a bunch of carry-ons onto a train.
So did you actually? So you actually got like? Did you use like Black Lane, or did you hire cars? I guess essentially to get you between those places.
Oh man, I had planned Black Lane. We have 2 Strata Elites, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna burn those Black Lane credits. I am so excited.
They're burning a hole in your pocket, right?
They were, and wouldn't you know, Black Lane doesn't operate in France.
Of course,
like you can't use these credits. I'm like, what am I gonna do with them now?
Of all the countries that it doesn't operate in, really, it doesn't operate in France.
When I pulled up in the app, that's what they said.
Boy, I'm learning a lot of stuff in this episode, man. I mean, your listeners, those of you guys with your Strata Elite sitting there, I'm going to use this in Paris. Guess what? Computer says no.
And I was trying to do all the booking before I left, because I'm like, okay, I know we want to do Magic Hour. I know that we're gonna want to go to Reims, and it makes no sense for us to like double back and do this connection and all that other stuff. So I was planning all that even before like once I had the Disney hotel like a week and a half out, I was planning everything else, or trying to, and running into issues. But simple Uber from de Gaulle. Lufthansa goes into that Terminal 1, which is that really circular terminal. It's kind of a beautiful looking terminal, but it's kind of a weird one because they have the
satellites.
Well, they have the satellites, and they have like this one to go to each of the satellites. They have this super long escalator. It feels like it's like this one contiguous escalator. I've never seen this anywhere else because it goes down, flat, and then it goes up an incline. It
is
cool.
Quite the feature. It is very distinctive to Terminal 1 at Charles de Gaulle. So anyone who's been there will know exactly what you're talking about.
Like I mean, and they must have better maintainers than like the Washington Metro, because I didn't see the it seemed
they were
like
working.
all their moving walkways were working. I mean, thank God, because that's a long walk.
They're usually rubberized
that is a steep
too.
Incline.
Aren't they usually they're rubberized? Like it's a little bit of a.
So the ones that go to the satellite are metal. The rubberized ones are the ones that go
in between the levels. Right?
Yeah, because the terminal's like a donut with the middle, with a hole in the middle, and then they have these rubber conveyors that bring you on an angle, across the donut hole. For lack of
I'm going to go on a tangent. It kind of looks like Star Wars Imperial architecture in a way.
It does. I agree. I agree.
It's all that concrete brutalist architecture that they love to use in like Andor or those other kinds of shows.
Very much so. Very much so. And let's be honest. that would be a pretty cool place for a lightsaber battle. I mean, jumping between those different those different angled conveyors,
yes,
going through the hole, you know, and then going down to one of the satellites. I mean, and really, by the time you get to the satellites, any damage from the lightsabers is probably an improvement.
Yeah. But it is interesting how significantly different it is as an experience in Terminal 1 as it is in all the other... because the rest of Charles de Gaulle is mainly Terminal 2, and it's a completely different architecture language than you have in Terminal 1.
Even a different color scheme, right?
Yeah.
Like, you've got a lot lighter
They do
colors.
still use a lot of concrete or something, but I
feel like
it's kind of more wood
lighter.
paneled kind of look to it or tone to it, I think.
Yeah, it just felt like a brighter like Terminal 2 is just brighter. And then you got the train to the K gates. Sorry, it's been a while. We're going down a
I know.
rabbit hole.
I guess enough about our time spent in Charles de Gaulle. I guess you spend enough time in one of those airports and you start remembering things. But you actually were able to enjoy Paris as well, though, right?
Yeah. So we stayed in a new place. The Park Hyatt Paris Vendôme, unfortunately, has become unobtainium for us. I think 45,000 or more points per night. I haven't seen what it is since the May 10.
And at those prices, it's probably overrated. You know, like I feel like the value is just not there. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a nice place, but
at $45K, it was overrated. Anything higher than that, absolutely. But I will say the location's wonderful.
Absolutely, so central.
Yeah, we stayed at the Hyatt Regency Paris Etoile, and it's nice. It's probably I don't know 20 minutes to the Champs-Élysées. Probably an hour's walk to the Eiffel Tower, and if you want to get over by the Louvre, I mean you're probably at that point it's almost 2 hours.
I was going to say, you would definitely get spoiled compared to Park Hyatt's location, where it's like literally just like walk a block and you're in Champs-Élysées, or you go the other direction and you're there at the Louvre in like 2 snaps or whatever.
Yeah,
so.
I mean and you've got that the Tuileries Park that you can walk through that you're only like 2 blocks away from.
Yep. Hard to beat that location, but even at $45K, that's a lot of premium for that excellent location,
especially compared to like €250. And we had a 3-person room too, so we didn't have to do any of the fight. We didn't have to do any of the games. I think our listeners probably are all familiar, but France is very, very particular with their fire codes, and so even sizable rooms, if they're coded as occupancy for 2, they are unbending. They are unflinching.
Yep. I feel like it's not just France. I feel like Europe in general has a very different... I mean, again, for those of you booking your rooms and you're used to booking in the U.S., you are not going to have the same flexibility. So especially if you've got those other than 1 or 2 in your party, when you're trying to book those, 3-person, 4-person type rooms, which are a lot rarer. And also, again, you're just... They're going to be very strict about this. So I'm sure some of our listeners who are a little bit more seasoned in their European travels will not be surprised.
Yeah, and here we are. We're at check-in. Our room's not ready, but they're going through the motions anyway. And there's a Delta captain, because the Delta crew stays at the Hyatt Regency at Paris Etoile. That
surprises me a little bit.
And it's a big hotel. Like, they had a bus.
Yeah.
I think they might have had a bus for the crew. Like not a small like airport shuttle bus, like one of those charter type things. I was surprised, and the pilot is arguing, shall we say, animatedly, like, I've said that I've got 3 people in this room. I emailed you guys. You're not changing the answer now, and they're like, "Sir, this is France. We have fire codes and this." And he's like, "I don't really care about that. Just fix it."
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I found it entertaining, and they had more 3-person rooms than the Hyatt Centric in Reims, which we'll get to in a bit. Rooms were tiny. I felt like I had a bigger room on the Royal Caribbean Explorer of the seas. I really did. But we had a Paris view, and our daughter had her own bed, properly made up, and the beds were really comfy, like really really comfy. It was hard to get up because the bedding was was the right weight. Everything was great, other than trying to keep that room cold. But I mean, that's anywhere in Europe, and it was over 90 degrees. It was, I think it was on average like 33 degrees Celsius while we were there.
I heard about that on my Memorial Day trip. I was watching the news, and they said heat wave in Europe, and I'm like, oh, I hope Trevor's okay. So,
yeah, it was bad. We made do. We did a lot of walking, but we ended up napping. I think we might have napped one of the days or both of the days, just because the heat just takes so much out of you. Normally, the energy of Paris, I can land and I can go until after midnight. This time, we still went after midnight. We napped. We went to the lounge. The lounge is nice. Also, a view of the Eiffel Tower.
Advantages of having a slightly taller building, right?
Yeah. And then we walked to the Eiffel Tower.
So you had a siesta, huh? I mean, it's kind of the purpose of those siestas, right? When you have kind of the warm weather and you just want to be kind of out of action during the hottest part of the day.
Oh, you had to be. It was just oppressive. We did some exploring, though.
Well, I heard you had an interesting food experience. Like when I saw you post this photo, and I was like, that is not the kind of French cuisine I'm used to.
Oh gosh, yeah. I don't think we did the best with the French cuisine this trip. I really wanted to have steak frites, but we just didn't see a restaurant that we liked, and so we did some nice kind of midday like croque monsieur and such. But one of the days we were like, we just have to get some food, and there is the Canadian Embassy Bar or Canadian Embassy Pub. I don't know if it's actually associated with the Canadian Embassy, but they had hockey on. They seemed real nice. We went in. I looked at the menu online, and they had poutine. And I said, you know what? My daughter loves French fries. This is the opportunity. This is the opportunity to expose her to something. And my wife was so skeptical. She's like, poutine, that doesn't even sound appetizing. I'm like, do you mean the name or as I describe it? And she's like, both. And so we get there and we order, and it was like it had cheese curds, bacon. It was a cheese curds
gravy,
and bacon, right? Poutine. Yeah, with gravy. And they put it in front of us. And I got like some other dish just in case. And my daughter just had no desire to touch the other dish. She's like, this is great. And my wife even liked it. And I'm like, ooh, this worked out well.
French, well, French Canadian, but
it is French Canadian. Yeah, because Montreal, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then we also went to, there was a hotel, and now it just escaped me. My gosh, Caption. Is it Caption or Canopy is the Hilton brand? That's a great question.
It's
Canopy.
I think Canopy. I think Caption is a Hyatt brand.
Yeah, so overlooking the Eiffel Tower, and we've got a photo of this, a photo or two of the view. They had a rooftop bar, and I just happened to get a new American Express Business Platinum. And as you know, and our listeners know, you now get with that Business Platinum, you get a quarterly $50 credit at Hilton. And so I said, you know what? We haven't been to a rooftop bar in Paris. Like why we haven't yet was astonishing to me. And
I'm now realizing, that's probably a big oversight.
Yeah, and so we end up going to the to the Canopy and got a reasonable little bit of shade. That hotel, the rooftop bar is tiny. It's probably only a little bit bigger than like a lap pool. Maybe double the width of a lap pool and about that length. And they didn't even have all their umbrellas functional, but they had enough for us to get shade. And so we had they have ice cream up there. We had some drinks, and we just took a nice little break, and just a beautiful view over the of the Eiffel Tower.
And hopefully use your credit, because I have to say there's so many of them, and just keeping track. Congratulations to actually using the coupon book well.
Yeah, and we got the confirmation, I think, same day or a day later.
Ah, well, that's always helpful too.
Yeah, you can't beat it when you actually get the confirmation and all that works. And it was totally serendipitous, which I was happy with. Other than a lot of walking and a necessary stop at La Durée for some...
as one does, you know.
As one does. I mean, we had to walk close to the Park Hyatt to go to the La Durée. And we went to the Lego store because when we were in Australia... Was it Australia? We were in someplace, and I think it was Sydney, and we got the Lego store passport. And so now anytime we go to an international destination, we go to the Lego store and we get the passport stamp. It sounds funny, but my daughter loves it. She gets excited.
Did they have ESS at the Lego store?
Thank God, no. Thankfully, no. Thankfully, no. But the Lego store over near the Louvre has an incredible, huge Notre Dame. Lego. Like not.
I would hope there'd be something special in that. A Notre Dame, a Sacré-Cœur, something that speaks to Paris.
Yeah, and it was nice. I mean, they had an open air market over there that we hadn't seen in the past. And we just did, again, we did a lot of walking. We went to some parks so our daughter could play, and we just sampled some of the food. We saw, stop at a cafe, have a drink, have a little bit of food, and of course, the baguettes with the ham and cheese, the mixtos as they called them, and we just enjoyed ourselves.
Can't be beat. Yeah, no, I mean, it sounds like you're. In some ways, a prototypical Paris trip. A lot of like wandering, a lot of strolling, and kind of sampling what the city has, which is definitely a style of travel which Paris lends itself to. So sounds like it was pretty successful. Do you want to move on and talk a little bit about Disneyland? I know that's going to be another area where I'm sure there's a lot to say.
Oh my gosh, there is, but I am not a Disney person. I will just say that. Having been there,
neither am I. I've been to a few of the parks, but it's definitely not an area, and that's a whole nother world. I mean, when you listen to Joe Chung and you listen to some of these other Disney's Deciphered type stuff out there, and you're like, oh my God, the world is just too big, and there's just too many details. As much intricacy as we are used to in the Miles and Points community, it's like go ahead and take all of that intricacy and just overlay that on top of Disney, and you probably just scratched the surface, right?
Oh yeah, I mean the amount of time we talked about Lufthansa first class space award availability being released or award releases is not even close, and you need all of that knowledge just to be able to get a royal encounter with Elsa and Anna. I mean, wow. You've got to have so many stars align.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So we went all in, right? When Dia says this is the time to do it, then you heed that and you do it right.
If you've got experts around you, I mean, listen to their advice, right?
Yeah, and so we said, okay, how can we mitigate that the power pass or the premium pass or whatever the accelerator thing, which was. Joe didn't even tell me what the price was if we wanted to get it the whole time. I looked around in the app and it was between 9 and 20 euros, 9 and 19 euros per person per ride.
Wow.
Which felt expensive just looking at that, to which I said, okay, if Joe doesn't want to tell me the cost, it's probably because I just don't want, I have no intention to spend that much. Yeah. If you have to ask. and so we did the other way, right? We stayed at the New York Marvel Hotel. Mm-hmm. I had wanted to stay at the Newport Hotel because that's a little bit less expensive, but the space never opened. And that's an interesting discussion for a little bit of a tangent, right? We were tracking this for about 3.5 months, looking at the hotel space, trying to decide what did we want, what did we not want, what did we want, and we were tweaking tweaking dates, seeing the different prices. About 3 weeks out, everything went completely cold turkey. In the 3-4 weeks out, completely cold turkey. Nothing was available.
Meaning
we
that
were
cold
done.
turkey, meaning that nothing was available, right? Is that
Right.
I'm understanding?
Like you couldn't stay at any of the hotels. You couldn't even stay at Jiminy Cricket's or whatever the farthest out one is.
Do you think this is a case of the American holiday, like the Memorial Day weekend, and with enough Americans going to that area that it's actually affecting kind of the availability?
I think so, but I also think this goes back to the same comment that I said earlier about award availability.
Mm-hmm.
When you have, when you have free cancellations up to a certain point, people are more willing to put the deposit in and book something, and then they reevaluate when it's time for them to, effectively when you've got to, push or,
it is a mind shift. I mean, it compared to people who are used to kind of things as they were before the pandemic, right? Now, this new world. You're right. There's a lot of behavior change, right, in the way people are doing their booking.
Yeah, and so what happened was we started to see the chinks in the armor. Maybe that's the wrong metaphor. We started to see the floodgates start to open, and we saw like that Sunday night. But we're like, okay, we're flying in on Sunday. I don't want to be at the park on Sunday. We'll lose out on the magic hour. And so we stayed the course. We sort of waited, held, it was that whatever
Nerves
that
of
movie
Steel,
where
right?
it is,
You have to
hold. Okay, go. And it was, I want to say it was 7 to 10 days out, and the dates that we wanted came available. And it was funny because I reached out to Joe Chung. I booked the hotels through Joe, and the day that I reached out,
mm-hmm.
I saw availability for Monday to Wednesday and Tuesday to Thursday. And
mm-hmm.
I said, we prefer Monday to Wednesday, but we'll take either of those two, because at that point I knew that the space was in and out very quickly. Mm-hmm. And by the time he had the opportunity to do the deposit, Tuesday, Thursday was only available. And that worked out really well anyway. We were happy with it. But just the interestingness of how that space became available and got gobbled
and
up
then
so quickly.
Snapped up so quickly. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, and that's not even a part of Disney logistics that I thought was going to be. I thought that was the easy part. And you had to like monitor this stuff. We're not even in the park yet.
Yeah. Wow.
And so we leave the Hyatt Regency.
It's intimidating. It makes you wonder, like, you need to take like a 4-year course or something to attend a Disney park now or something.
A little bit. It felt a little bit that way. I mean, we found a couple of good Instagram accounts that had specific Disneyland Paris information,
mm-hmm.
and we watched almost all their content for a good 3 weeks.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I mean, making notes, sending them back and forth between my wife and I. It was a crash course.
Yeah.
So we drop our stuff off at the hotel. We're at the gate. We're rope dropping.
Rope drop.
Yeah, and we're excited to rope drop, right? We get over to Adventure World because, in our view, Elsa and Anna and the Frozen Ever After ride, that is like the number one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we do that, and we've already succeeded. And so we get in line, and the ride had a mechanical issue.
Oh,
so we lose. so that was the only ride that we got for the entire magic hour.
Oh my.
I mean, it wasn't the end of the world, right? So what they did is they've got. So we're standing in line because we're committed. While we're standing in line, they have these queues that open at random times through the day. Maybe it's not random. Maybe they're scheduled. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are scheduled, but like 8:45, that kind of feels a little bit like a randomly determined time. And so, like at 8:45, they have an extra drop of the queue to meet Elsa and Anna in their palace, in their like throne room or whatever.
Right. And
so we're standing in line, and my wife is like it's 8:43, and she's already got her phone open. She's got her hands like right on the button, ready to hit the queue, and so she gets us in the queue, and it's like 50 minutes. And we're like, okay, maybe we can get in there. Maybe the ride will work, and maybe all it'll work. And we're starting to get nervous because they open up the ride and we're like starting to go through the queue. Well, we end up getting off the ride within 2 minutes of our queue time for Elsa and Anna. It was like you couldn't have coordinated it better. And so we go and I think we've got a photo of my daughter meeting Anna and Elsa, and I could not believe how amazing that was. I guess I was really skeptical going into it, and the fact that like number one, the actresses are just fantastic. I mean, they are so sincere. They are so animated. They were just so cool.
How do they handle English and French? Like, are they bilingual, or what? How did they do that?
So they knew we were English speakers.
Yes,
and they keep you fairly they keep it a fairly exclusive experience. So I didn't. So all of the ones that were around us were English speakers. Spider-Man was totally bilingual, and he was awesome. and so he would just speak either in English or French, if depending whatever the kid the family was. I assume Anna and Elsa did the same, but like they got down on their knees at her level. They signed her little book. Elsa taught her magic. They and they did the little magic. And then of course photos and everything.
So there's a reason you have to do all this work, and in some cases it does pay off.
Yeah. I mean, by 10 a.m. we got out of that royal encounter, and we felt like we had already succeeded, not just for the day, but for the entire
mission
visit
accomplished
to Disneyland Paris. Yeah. Had some other interesting rides. Ironically enough, a bunch of mechanicals. Some of these rides, they're doing some really interesting things with, and because of that, it's unfortunately
is that just normal, or was it the heat, or do you think this is just something you might have to expect?
I don't know. I would just plan that they might have a problem. I was on so they have got an Avengers Assemble roller coaster that really reminded me of the Aerosmith roller coaster at the Orlando MGM. And that had a brief problem. We had a problem on there's this web slinging Spider-Man ride, and that had a slight problem. I think like two others had slight problems while we were actually on the rides, and we didn't get that many. I think our highest day of rides was maybe 11, maybe 13. So you think about the amount of rides that we got with the amount of mechanicals that we encountered, and it's a meaningful enough thing that you should just plan on it. Like They even had an equivalent in the adventure world. They have, I think, tangled spinning boats, which is kind of like the teacups, and even that ended up having a mechanical so bad that they needed maintenance to come. Yeah, and that's a very basic ride.
So I'm looking at some of the notes, and one of the things you have here, which surprised me, it sounds like your food and beverage experience at the parks and the hotel was actually a reasonable one, which it kind of defies the reputation.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was going to be the case. I think Dia might have mentioned that. What I would say is everything about Disneyland Paris felt a lot cheaper and a lot higher quality than I felt like the experience that I remember from Orlando. I think we paid a premium for the Marvel Hotel. I will say that. I think we paid about $2,500 for 2 nights, plus the 3 days of tickets. That was a big splurge for us. If we could have gotten into Newport, I think we would have been at 2,000, and if we'd have waited until October, I was looking at Columbus Day weekend, and I think we could have done 3 nights for about 2,000 at Newport. So you can sort of see this was a holiday week. They know Americans; they're going to price it appropriatly, and I can't fault them for that, right?
So that figure includes park admission and the hotels, if I'm understanding correctly for your pricing you provided.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and when I say hotel, I mean you're a 5 to 10 minute walk to the gate. Like you've got your own private, well, not private. Like the hotels have their own security that you go through, and then you're at the gate. It's very convenient. You're right by the Disney Village. I felt like I got a good value. It was more than I wanted to pay, but I think it was worth it.
Right.
So the pricing for the food and the drinks. I'll give you an example. At the hotel, they had a wine that we had actually gone to the vineyard when we were in the south of France, or Côte d'Azur, called Minuti, and it was 8.8 euro a glass, and that's probably just about what you'd pay for that in Paris, más menos, within a euro. So even at like their more flagship hotels, and the New York Marvel is probably the second most expensive hotel. The Disneyland Hotel is obviously the big one. That's like the Grand Floridian in Orlando parlance. In the park, the serving sizes were a little less, but even so, the pricing was not that bad. I think we got 5 chicken tenders for 8 or 9 euros. And
wow, that doesn't sound bad at all.
Yeah, and it was good. Like the chicken was quality. It was filling. I thought it was pretty good. It was so good that we decided that we actually wanted to eat in the park rather than leaving the park and going to the hotel or going to Disney Village or doing something else. We actually sought to eat in the park after that first day.
Well, it's not what I would have expected. So it's a good information, especially if you're making some plans to visit Disneyland Paris, which is definitely sounds like a more manageable or reasonable park, compared to some of the other Disney parks in the world where, it's probably even more chaotic, a little bit more, requires more effort and more energy to be able to probably achieve the same kind of things that you were able to do.
Absolutely. The one thing I would just caution our listeners is there's a lot of building going on. It looks like they're building like a world of Simba, a world of Mulan. I think we watched so they do a fireworks or an entertainment show just shy of 11 p.m. and it's going to get later and later because they've got to have darkness, right? And I tell you, the sun stays up so late in France. You forget how far north France is.
I guess it is. It's north. It is what, closer to Northern Europe, I guess.
I mean, France is probably what? I'm looking at my map now. It's probably equivalent to like Maine or New Hampshire, northern New Hampshire. And so you forget that the sun stays up so much longer. And so 11 o'clock they finally have enough darkness to do these shows. We're standing at the one in the World Adventure World, and there's one of those big kind of T cranes over back by World of Frozen, and there was like 3 or 4 right on the other side of the lagoon doing this Simba and other stuff. The Disney Village they're building as well. I mean, there's just a lot of building. They're expanding that adventure world rather substantially. I think in 5 years that could be really, really exciting. Right now, you got a lot of walking, not a ton of rides. Like in the World of Frozen, there's just the one ride, which is very similar to how they updated the Norwegian ride in Epcot. I think it's probably a little longer in Frozen Ever After in Paris, but it's very similar. Like right to the point of where they you get to a point where and then you get turned around and you're going backwards. Not to ruin anything, but if you've been on the Epcot ride, you know what it looks like, right?
So it sounds like there's some advantage maybe to waiting, or you're maybe there's a reason to go back, I guess, in a couple of years, because you'll have so many additional attractions and other things hopefully that are actually built and expanded once Disney finishes what they're doing currently.
I mean, for us, we'll see. We might still do Tokyo Sea at the end of the year, but I'm not a Disney fan. I mean, I hate to say it. I'm not like, did I enjoy myself? Yes. Were there points where I said, I am not a Disney person? very many times. But there were some special moments. Like my wife, we even had a nap one of the days because we all just needed it. And the heat, again, the heat,
Yes,
it was
yes.
just so hot.
Oppressive, I would imagine. Yes.
It was oppressive. And so we take a nap, and my wife had to set alarms during our nap. Like we were giving ourselves, I think, like an hour and a half or 2 hours. And she had 3 alarms set during that 2-hour period. So she could wake up and get into a queue to see Mickey, or another queue to see this person, this character. I mean, she got us in to see Mickey. We got in to see Spider-Man. And then we just happened to run into Goofy. And so again, we hit all the marks. We hit all the things that we really wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it worked out really well. And for a 4-year-old, I never realized how awesome Fantasy World is, where you've got It's a Small World, you've got Dumbo, you've got the Teacups. They have 2 other rides in Disneyland Paris that are kind of like tucked away. They've got like a train ride that is kind of like a train roller coaster, but like, you know, for kids.
Yes.
And then they have a little boat that's kind of cool because it goes through, and they have these little interesting setups for each of the fairy tales, right? Like each of the like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs,
like a diorama or
Frozen. Yeah. And so it was kind of cool. It was like the storybook boat ride, and most of those had no line or very, very, very minimal lines. And so I think we went there so we could do Peter Pan, Pirates. Were the 2 big rides in that area that had long lines. I think Space Mountain, if it was even open, or they call it Hyperspace Mountain, that had long lines. I think the Thunder Mountain Railroad had long lines. There's an Indiana Jones roller coaster, no lines to speak of. They had a couple of others, but like largely you're only looking at, per park, you're only looking at like 3 to 5 rides that have greater than 20 or 30 minute lines. Which is pretty nice, I think.
Right.
You know, even at a seemingly high time. But we got like 7 or 8 rides on that one day that we used the Fast Pass, or not the Fast Pass, the Magic Hour in Disneyland Paris, to just enjoy those rides. So I don't know. I think we did it right.
Sounds like a successful trip, you know. And again, you got value out of. You had some good memories created, which is
she loved it. Yeah, and we still talk about it. I mean, obviously we're only like a couple of weeks out, but we still talk about it. It was a little warm in my office before we started to record, so I asked her if she could use her magic to cool it down, and she was glad to do it. And I almost needed to put a little sweater on. So I mean, you know, these are memories that we're going to remember for quite some time, and so you know, definitely a big shout out to Dia. For pushing me to do this and pushing us to do this, because I'm truly happy we did. I really mean that.
So do you want to switch gears and just talk a little bit about Reims before we close out the episode today?
Yeah. I'm talking so much about this trip. I'm sorry. It was both a really fun and an also exhausting trip. So Reims was one of those interesting things. We wanted to do much more than we ended up doing. At this point in the trip, we were just downright exhausted. I mean, I hate to say it, but like, I mean, at this point we had probably walked, let's see, we landed on Sunday, it's Thursday, so we probably had walked over 100,000 steps. At least my wife and I.
I would imagine between all the Paris strolling and then all the strolling through the park. I mean, at Disney Park. I mean,
we might have been to 120 because we were averaging about 25,000 steps a day, even when we were just in Paris. I mean,
yep. It's exhausting for me hearing about it, you know, and knowing that the temperatures were as oppressive as they were. I'm sure it was all very, what do you call it, demanding.
It was, and by the time we got to Reims, we checked into the hotel. Hotel room wasn't ready. We said, okay, that's fine. Or no, maybe the hotel room was ready. We dropped our bags and then we just went out in search of some food because we had done the Magic Hour at Disney, and then we got into a 45-minute to an hour Uber, and we're walking around, and you know, it just like it was hard to get shade just because, you know, now you're in a smaller city. Had a nice lunch, toured a little bit, found some ice cream, figured out a champagne house to try out. Turns out that if you want to go to the big ones, Pommery, Veuve Clicquot, Taittinger, Moet Chandon, some of them are also down in Epernay. So you've got a little bit of a haul. And even if they're not out in Epernay, you've got to plan months and months out in advance. And we just didn't have that flexibility this time. I feel like if I were to go back, and I think I'd like to go back and actually spend a little bit of time in Epernay. Brander, who's on one of the earlier episodes, Pilot's Perspective of the podcast, had recommended this beautiful little Airbnb, or not Airbnb, but regular bed and breakfast right off of the Champagne Avenue in Epernay. And I now I just like it's on my list. I want to go back,
right.
But I got to plan it like a year ahead, because if we're going to do it, I want to do actual champagne tastings and be able to really have
and those experience. Really do need to be booked up months in advance, is what I think I'm hearing.
Very much so. Very much so. We had two choices. One that was a non-tasting tour of Pommery, and the other one was, and I'm probably going to not get the champagne house's name perfect, but Thénault. And Thénault was interesting because, number one, they had this beautiful building and an attached hotel, and they were building out the caves literally, like they continue to kind of expand the tourist type experience, right? The touring type experience. But it's a young champagne house, only 40 or so years old. And so
apparently that's a baby, huh?
Yeah, it's a baby. It's a baby, man. I mean, compared to Lady Veuve,
yeah.
You know. And so it was interesting to have that tour. We got to walk over by the Mars Gate. There's some good architecture in Reims. But I suppose I want to leave this, from a food perspective. We had tried all these different foods, but still not gotten the traditional, like the steak frites.
I think this sounds like you were on the theme of your poutine experience earlier in the trip here.
Yeah, so we tried something else. I was pulling a U, and I was looking at Yelp, and up comes this Italian deli. And I'm like, Italian deli, we like charcuterie boards. Let's go for it.
Sure.
And the reality is, we had been having, primarily French wines and French champagnes for the vast majority of the trip.
Right.
And so we get to this this Italian deli, and they have prosecco, and we're like, okay, let's go comfort. Right?
I feel some French people rolling in graves or something. I don't know. Having prosecco while you're in Reims.
I know. But then we went back to the hotel and had proper champagne.
Okay.
So all was not lost. We just it felt fun. We ended up cutting our time there short. So we talked about the fire code before. And this was one of those cases. The Hyatt Centric just opened 6 months ago. I didn't want to fight, and it was 350 or 370 euro if I wanted to get a single room that could allow the three of us into the room.
Okay.
It was only 12,000 points. It actually was 15,000 points, and then it went down after they went to the 5-tier system.
Oh.
So
okay.
I rebooked it at 12,000 per room, and I ended up booking 2 rooms.
Okay.
We get into the room to find that each room has a nice bench under the window that was perfect 4-year-old size, and so we kind of said to heck with it. Okay, we removed the friction of you can only have 2 people in a room. We got the second room. We didn't really use it. We all slept in the one room, but we at least removed the friction. The problem is that the hotel was so new, the beds were so new that they were so hard. None of us got a good night's sleep. And I woke up, my back was killing me, to the point where I had to get into the PT like right when we got home. And so we said, you know what, let's leave. And so we called an audible. We went we got our breakfast, we packed up, we went down and said to the hotel, hey, we want to release one room. We've got all our stuff into this other room, and we'd really like it if you would consider to refund us tonight because we're gonna leave.
Yeah.
I didn't make a big deal about the bed. I didn't want to complain. I just said, I just want the points back.
We're cutting our trip short. Can you please help us out?
Yeah, and so they gave us a 4 p.m. checkout, which was nice. We went out to the Champagne House. We did the tour. We came back. We got an Uber and off to Paris. We ended up staying at a Hyatt Place. There's a Hyatt Place and a Hyatt House very close to Charles de Gaulle. However, the shuttle system is just like the shuttle in London Heathrow, where you pay an arm and a leg. So it's cheaper to just take an Uber. But yeah, that's how we ended up closing our trip. Like we had flights home out of Brussels on Sunday, but we ended up leaving Reims on Friday and then flying home on Saturday. Just seemed like the right thing. I will say on the drive to Paris or to Charles de Gaulle from Reims, we saw probably the longest caravan of gendarmerie I have ever seen. Probably the longest caravan of any type of paramilitary or police.
Was it like a funeral, or what was something going on?
It was a caravan because there was the Champions game in, I guess, the Champions League.
Football. That's right.
Yeah, and so
that made the news.
It did.
For not good reasons.
Unfortunately so. Yeah. And so our Uber drivers, do not be in do not be anywhere near this area. He's telling me the different arrondissements to avoid. And the reality of the matter was, it was don't be in the city, period.
Yeah.
Like when you saw the
the
news.
Is there a French term for soccer hooligan?
Well, here's the crazy part. They won. Their team won.
Which is why they went even crazier.
What would they do if they lost?
I don't know. They would just go drink themselves silly and somewhere and be sad, I guess.
Perhaps, but bottom line, there must have been, I'd say at least 30 vans, could have been 100, because we didn't even get to see the end of the caravan. I was just astonished with the amount of police that,
so
the
it really
fact
was
that they
just
had
a
that many
huge
police in the country.
Show of force, huh?
It was. It really was. And so, no regrets on cutting the trip short. We talked about it, and I just said, look, we could go to Brussels. We haven't been to Belgium in a while, but the idea after the bed kind of wrangled my back, I like the idea of maneuvering, 2 rollerboards, two carry-on rollerboards, a stroller, and then each of us had a backpack. It didn't sound like a fun time. I hate to say it, it just didn't sound like a fun time.
Yeah, I kind of listened to what you were doing, and obviously I had my own separate plans, and we'll talk about that maybe in a future episode for Memorial Day. And I was thinking to myself, wow, you were trying to squeeze a lot into this trip, and it sounded like maybe sometimes it's not horrible, especially in a place like France, where it's a good idea to budget a lot of downtime. Where you're doing your cafe sitting, or you're doing your, I had serendipity. You've come across a particular restaurant or food eatery or champagne house or, whatever. And you just need to put that in. And just hearing about the idea of let me ping pong from Paris to Disneyland to Reims to Brussels, that's a lot. So I'm kind of completely on board with your idea of cutting it back a little bit, and it sounds like there were a lot of good decisions made.
Thanks. Yeah, and I will say this: there is a train station right outside the parks. Mm-hmm. I mean, the train station is actually closer than the hotel that we stayed at.
Right,
and we saw people that would get off the train, for the 9:30 opening, and then they were running right after the fireworks to make the last train back.
Right.
I could not do that. That is that is a next level to do Disney, a full day of Disney, riding the train in and out. That to me is crazy.
Trevor, you are not a public transportation person. Let's just put it out there.
Yeah, but even if I was a public transportation person, to be doing it in that heat with no forward operating base, to be able to take a nap at, and you're going to try to do what 9:30. You're talking about, so you're probably doing what, a 15-hour day by the time you get back to your hotel.
I'm sure some people that do that, but I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people. Maybe they are there for rope drop, or they're there at the very end. But hopefully, maybe they aren't at both bookends, right? They're hopefully taking a break by saying, "Hey, I'm quitting now. It's like 3 p.m. or whatever. Let's go back."
I don't know. Those park tickets are so expensive. I think
they
people
are
maximizers. I mean, I hate to say it. And you see these people around the parks, and like the crowds never got less. I mean, never got less. Wow. I will say one thing that I didn't mention about Adventure World. If you think of Adventure World as like a better thought out Epcot, they really got it right in so many different ways. Around the lagoon, they have multiple tiered viewing areas that actually have benches that have railings to lean on. And so you've got like one, and then you've got like half a flight of stairs, and then you've got another, and they've got like 4 or 5 tiers. And so even though you had a lot of people in the park, it didn't feel so crazy and crowded like at least I remember Epcot being, because you had multiple levels, so you spread people out.
It's like you have stadium seating.
Exactly. That's exactly what it felt like, and it's just those little thoughtful differences that to me made Disneyland Paris such a better experience than what I remember. And I'm not trying to disparage Orlando. Orlando's the original. Right. I have so many great memories when we lived there and went to grad school. We had annual passes. We would go there like almost every weekend. We'd get a couple of rides, wander around Epcot, and then go home. So not trying to disparage Orlando, but like when you see how they're building it now, how they're building the new stuff, it's just so cool to see that they really are taking a lot of the lessons from prior parks and really truly improving on them.
That's good to hear. Well, Trevor, shall we close out the
Disney episode?
Well, shall we close out the episode?
I think so. Oh gosh, I'm tired. Just like thinking, just after talking about
it's
it,
exhausting.
I'm like tired of this, exhausted. I mean, it was a great trip, but gosh, it was a lot. Yeah, we packed a lot. Well, that's the show. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed listening.
If you've enjoyed this episode, consider becoming a Milenomics Patreon member and get access to even more in-depth miles, points, and travel content.
Until then, we hope your next story is a travel story. Au revoir.